Want an idea of how hard it is to be a teacher these days? On the hit television series Abbott Elementary, we see dedicated teachers deal with everything from toilets that don't work to lights that don't work. We see teachers having to make do with old textbooks and very few supplies. There are fights in unruly and out of control classrooms, behavior problems, and a principal that, doesn't really support the teachers and staff in a way that's even remotely adequate. For those of you who may not be tuned into Abbott Elementary, the show's premise is a group of dedicated, passionate teachers and a tone-deaf principal are brought together in a Philadelphia public school where they are determined to help their students succeed in life. Though these incredible public servants are outnumbered and underfunded, they love what they do and fight the odds stacked up against them to give the students the best school life they can offer. The show premiered on December 7, 2021 to rave reviews, with the Rotten Tomatoes score of 100% and an audience score of 91%, with critics applauding the series for its hilarious yet honest portrayal of teachers. But does the show do enough to inform audiences of the real psychological and emotional stress that a majority of teachers are under? Because in real life, teachers are not as optimistic as Janine Teagues. In fact, teachers all over this country are in crisis, leaving the profession in record numbers and are facing major burnout. But why is that? But before we get into the content today, go ahead and do me a favor and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. Here are 3 important things about teaching that you won't see on Abbott Elementary. Number 1. Student behavior is out of control. One of the most noticeable things about Abbott Elementary is their use of humor when showing how the students act up or misbehave in school. And they're not wrong in that many of the things teachers deal with when it comes to kids is quite ridiculous and sometimes hilarious. Kids can be a handful, and it's an expected part of the job.
Ow! Miss Teagues! Andrew hit me!
Andrew, apologize. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. Try some counting exercises. Somewhere between 1 and 40, the kids calm down.
And it's good to laugh about that sometimes, but here is the reality. Teachers have far more serious behavior issues to contend with than just a classroom full of rambunctious kids. And many people outside of education may not be aware of this, but out of control behavior in classrooms has reached a crisis level, even in elementary schools.
The violent outbursts, the swearing at teachers, the absolutely falling apart in a classroom, and then no kind of support.
When we think about the types of things I see as a K-3 teacher, I see the elopement, I see the hiding, the screaming, the swearing to teachers. I've been scratched, I've been punched, I've been spit at 3 times.
In a climate where test scores determine everything, how can we possibly expect substantial progress from students who are afraid? The measure of a good day is no longer about learning. The measure of a good day now is one where no one was injured, assaulted, or suspended.
And people are like, what can we do to fix it? I'm not going to lie to you. I have no idea. After I posted my experience and, what happened, I had people from all over this country reaching out to me, telling me y'all's experience, and we're all in the same boat. Education is an absolute shit show. It is a walking shit show. And I'm like, it's like the problems are so deeply embedded that it's like, what can we do? Because county office is scared, admin is scared of county office. County office is scared of these parents. These parents are scared of their kids, and the kids ain't scared of nobody.
Number 2, the pandemic has had devastating effects on teachers and students. Abbott Elementary does not take on the pandemic nor any of the issues surrounding remote learning or mask mandates, which is understandable since these are very contentious issues nowadays. But in reality, these issues cannot be ignored in the classroom.
Nick Ferroni struck a nerve when he posted a simple tweet. How many teachers are close to breaking down? Launching a conversation about how teachers are really doing.
Exhausted and burnt out, but need to keep providing the best education I can.
It feels like we're building an airplane while we're already in the air flying.
According to the article written by the National Association of Teachers titled Getting Serious About Teacher Burnout, it states, a survey of U.S. public sector workers released in October found that K-12 public school educators were the most likely to report higher levels of anxiety, stress, and burnout during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's obviously no surprise after a quick and difficult transition to full-time virtual learning, to the unrelenting pressure to return to school before the approval of the vaccines, to being targets in heated, potentially dangerous political battles. Educators have endured staggering levels of anxiety and pressure.
And conversations about stress teachers are important to have because they affect students too, says this developmental psychologist.
Essentially, they're not able to transfer and those feelings of safety onto the students. And the reason why that's important is because without that, learning is not really possible.
Number 3, stress from teacher shortages is extremely high. On the show Abbott Elementary, there is only one episode where we see a teacher shortage. One of the younger teachers who is struggling in her classroom explicitly asks for help. And when she is given no real support, it leads to a physical altercation between her and one of her students. The teacher is then immediately let go, leaving the class without an instructor, which leads them to putting the janitor in charge. And it is a funny moment. However, when one teacher leaves, no matter the reason, it puts stress on everyone else that remains. According to The Hill, burnout continues to be a driving force behind a nationwide teacher exodus that has left the industry with roughly 500,000 fewer teachers. But COVID-19 has only exacerbated a nationwide shortage that is decades in the making.
I've heard more than last year, people just having breakdowns or having heightened anxiety. I myself, at the beginning of this school year, I had a seizure. The neurologist said it's like the most likely explanation is stress. And so quite possibly just having to start a full school year in still pandemic conditions eats at you. It demoralizes you essentially.
When teachers are this tired and showing up, this is when mistakes happen and when burnout happens. And children already have social emotional gaps from COVID, and they're showing up to a classroom where there either is no coverage for them and they're being shoved into a different classroom, or there is coverage that's not emotionally ready to take care of 25 plus students and their needs. I feel like I personally am in survival mode. And I know a lot of teachers are back in the first year survival mode, just trying to get by.
It's no surprise to anyone that we have a major teacher shortage this year. Teachers are walking out of schools this year at an alarming rate. And you want to know why? I'll tell you exactly why teachers are quitting. Coming home mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. Some teachers are coming home having endured being hit, kicked, bit, slapped by students. And we're exhausted to the point where we can't even take care of our own kids because we are so drained.
It was too much. I just started having like anxiety attacks back to back for a week. And I was like, I just can't like sacrifice my mental health anymore.
So what do you think about the current state of education these days and teachers leaving the classroom in record numbers? Do you think teachers are portrayed honestly on the small screen? And do shows like Abbott Elementary do anything to move the conversation forward? Drop down in the comments below and let me know what your thoughts are. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Thank you.